Well, greetings one and all, and welcome back to another video here with your host Andrew. Today you join me for a pen perspective on the pen before you, that being the Namiki Raden Stripe Capless. So, without further ado, let's get on with this. I'm pretty sure most viewers here will have heard the famous saying, form follows function, but what if I told you you can have both? That's exactly what the Namiki Capless offers you. Now I could leave the review here, but A, that would make for a little bit of a cop out, and B, I just don't think this would be giving the pen any justice. Now let's start with this perspective on why I chose this pen. When I first started collecting fountain pens a few years back, this pen had initially caught my eye, but the asking price was simply out of my comfort zone. Even with the means to afford such beauty when money came into my possession, other pens had captured my soul. Now I'm sure most viewers out here can sympathise with this. So fast forward to today, some money had come into my possession through a sale of a Pilot Custom 912, and 1 hour later after the transaction, the money had burnt a hole through my pocket, and before you knew it, the pen was purchased. Right, before we get on with the rest of this review, I just want to ask, what was your first love? What was the pen which was your true grail? Do leave that down in the comment section below. I'd be really curious to read that. Anyway, let's get on with the rest of this review. Well, as Raden is the primary sort of visual attraction to this pen, I just wanted to give a little bit of light education on abalone shell. Why? Well, partly because it's interesting, and secondly, it can affect the overall cost of your pen. Abalone is a collective term for a group of mollusks and can be found in different locations around the globe, although some of the most densely populated areas can be found in Australia, New Zealand and South Africa. But most interestingly, the colorization of the shell is mainly determined by what the creature eats. I couldn't say what Namiki uses, but one thing is for sure, the execution is flawless. Typically speaking, to achieve this smoothness, you need time, patience and a lot of sanding. You must also place abalone by hand. Sprinkling can cause imperfections due to the varying heights. As for the application of the Raden stripes, I couldn't comment on how they're actually manufactured. Namiki does use a variety of modern practices to help aid manufacturing, and therefore they're relatively guarded on obviously how things are done, but I do believe a lot of traditional techniques are actually utilised. Irrespective of how the pen was made, this is an aesthetically pleasing pen, and one in which you can lose hours of concentration. Just spending and admiring the beauty of this iridescent finish is enough to leave anyone with a smile. Taking a closer look, we can see the perfect alignment of each and every stripe, each offering a beautiful glimpse of the skilled artisans that oversee the production of these pens. Of course, if this model isn't to your taste, Pilot does have 2 other offerings within the Namiki Pilot Capless Raden range, and that would be the Galaxy and the Water Surface. Both are beautiful pens, and both also offer unique finishes, with the water stripe being more of an extension based on the pen which I'm reviewing today. Well, obviously it's great that it looks pretty, but how does the pen write? The Capless range comes equipped with an 18 karat gold hooded nib, which is simply pure joy to write with. For me, this nib really showcases what a gold nib can offer, and really should offer. By this I mean it's soft, ever so slightly bouncy without being too spongy, which some 18 karat nibs can be. Writing with the Capless can be a challenge for some, depending on how you hold your pen. The grip can easily get in the way if you don't have a regular triangular grip. But for those that deploy that classic grip, you do not need to worry. I've written several pages of A4 for long periods of time, and I have to say I'm rather pleasantly surprised with how comfortable the pen is for longer writing sessions. Of course, writing is very personal, and making recommendations is always challenging. I know there are people that would detest writing with this pen, mainly because of the size or having to hold the pen in a particular way. But I think if we consider the practicality of having a fountain pen with a retractable nib, I'd simply challenge anyone to actually testify against its practicality. It's really an absolute joy to have for a quick note. Anyway, let's go on to my final thoughts. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for bearing with me. I have got some thoughts on this pen, and actually some of it might be a little bit of a hot topic on pricing. So depending on your region, these can cost wildly different. In the UK, these will sit you around about £420 to £500-ish, whereas in the States it will cost you around about $840, which doesn't exactly translate from country to country. I wish Pilot could really sort out their pricing, because in Europe we pay almost twice as much for some pens, and then in America they seem to be paying almost twice again for some pens. I have questioned them on this, and their feedback has always been about administration fees, and that seems to be a big contributor. But to me, why do we have to pay so much more when there's so many other companies out there which seem to, I don't know, handle the pricing structure of their pens universally so much better? So, is this pen perfect? No. But then what pen is? This is an expensive proposition, especially as you can get a regular capless for about £200. So you really have to love a Verushi and Raden to really warrant spending so much. And then there's the practicality of the pen. Yes, it retracts, and yes, you can plop it into a shirt pocket, but that clip will get into the way for some people. So my suggestion would be, if you can get to a pen show or to a shop, I would certainly try the pen before you buy it. And then there's one last negative point I have on this pen, and that is it does dry out. Yes, I don't know why, but the pen does have a habit of drying out. If you don't use it for, say, like a week or so, yeah, you're going to have to rinse the nib under some water just to get that flow going again. I mean, it's not really a hardship, but it's just something to consider, and it does sort of eat away at that practicality a little bit. But anyway, that is more or less it. This pen is absolutely fantastic overall, and if you can obviously get used to that grip and that clip being in the way, I think, yeah, you would be onto a winner. Okay, so if you've got any feedback on this pen, you've used it before, what's your thoughts and opinions on this pen? I would love to know down in the comment section below. But anyway, that's it for today's video. The only thing left for me to say is stay safe and goodbye for now.